Hi students, today we will discuss about conventional software management. Right? There are lot many conventional management principles which has been given by software experts in earlier days, and most of the principles are sound in theory, but when it comes into practice, most of them are outdated. All those principles which has been given by software experts who are having some experience, based on their experience they have given some principles. All those principles have been used in the earlier days. Now we will see what is the best thing about the software. The best thing about the software is its flexibility. Because of its flexibility, we can be able to do programming for anything. Anything means we can be able to do program for any complex problem. And at the same time, the worst thing about the software is also its flexibility. And we already said that the best thing is flexibility. Because of its flexibility, we can be able to do programming for any complex problem. So when we are saying we can be able to do programming for any complex problem, it is difficult to plan, it is difficult to monitor and control the software development. So that is the main thing. So that is the thing that you have to remember. And in the midst of 1990s, in order to judge what could be the status of the software engineering institute, 3 different committees have been formed and they have been conducted their own reviews. That could be in midst of 1990s. Right? The three different committees formed and they have been given their own reviews, and each of them has been printed their own papers. In 1994 one paper has been published, in 1995 one paper is published, and 1996 one paper is published. And all the 3 different committees have been given their own reports, and all the 3 different committees are given the same 3 conclusion points. And the remaining points are also there, but there are 3 common points are there. First point is software development is still highly unpredictable. Software development is still highly unpredictable. That means only 10% of software products which have been delivering within the estimated time, and remaining all of them are failing. What is the main reason behind that? So they are unable to implement the product according to the customer satisfaction, and they are unable to develop the product within the estimated time and within the stipulated estimated cost and meeting the requirements of the customer. That is the main drawback with that. And second one is, most of the times management are more concentrating on the success or failure, but they are not at all concentrating on the technology advances. If they are going to concentrate on the technology advances, automatically the products are going to develop successfully. And last one is, the level of software scrap and rework is indicative of an immature process. These are the 3 points which has been given by 3 different committees. So that is the thing about conventional software management. Now we will discuss about what actually waterfall model is. And we all know that waterfall model, which we have studied already in software engineering. And waterfall model can also be called as, that classic life cycle model or linear sequential model, which is the oldest process model. All the process models are based on the waterfall model, and whether you take spiral model, whether you take RAD model, whether you take iterative model, whether you take evolution model, there are lot many models there. Whatever the model that you take, all the models are based on the waterfall model only. So in 1970s, what happened is, our textbook author Walker Rice's father, Winston Rice, has wrote a paper titled Managing the Development of Large Scale Software Systems. That is the paper which has been printed in IEEE Wescon, that is in 1970. The paper contains the whatever the experience that has been done while he is working with large scale software systems. And along with those problems, he has also concluded 3 primary points. What are the 3 primary points? So all we know that waterfall model contains 6 phases, right? So along with that, what is said, when we are working with very small products, when we are working with very small programs, it is sufficient to have only 2 phases, that is analysis and coding. As we have seen in the screen, analysis and coding, which are very much required when we are working with very small programs. For example, if I ask you to write a program for prime number, then what you have to do, we have to analyze what actually a prime number is. That's based on the analysis you are going to write the coding. So for that, it doesn't require any gathering requirements, it doesn't require any design, it doesn't require any testing like that, right? So testing you have to do, but whether that is going to producing accurate results or not, that for that you have to test. But it doesn't require gathering requirements, it doesn't require any maintenance for that. So that's what he is saying. When we are working with very small program, when you are building a small program, we need to have only 2 phases. But when we are working with very complex programs, or when we are working with projects, then we need to have some overhead steps. The overhead steps comes under all those phases which we have studied already in waterfall model. So that is the thing that he has been explained in waterfall model, and which we have studied already in software engineering. That's why I am going to provide a video. Go through that video, you are able to understand what actually waterfall model is, what you are going to do, all those things in that. And along with that, he has given some 5 necessary improvement steps that has to be done in order to work successfully. First one is complete the program design before analysis and coding, and second one is maintain current and complete documentation. Third one is do the job twice if possible. Fourth one is plan, control and monitor testing, and finally involve the customer. So what is the first one? Just wait, we will see. First one is program design comes first. As we all know that everything will be depends only on the design. If there is any flaw in the design, automatically that is going to affect in the coding. So when we are, whatever you take, for example, if you are going to construct a house, you are going to have some plan. So if there is any flaw in that plan, automatically that is going to affect on the house. In the same way, whatever the design that you have given for the implementation of any product or any project, so if there is any flaw in the design, automatically that is going to affect the total implementation. But so that's what they are saying. By this technique, the program designer assures that the software will not fail because of storage, timings and data flux. And one more thing that you have to remember, so begin the design process with program designers only, not by the analysts or not by the programmers. Designing should be done by the designers only, not by the programmers or not by the analysts. At the same time, you have to define, you have to design, you have to allocate all the data processing modes, even at the risk of being wrong, and allocate processing functions, design the database, allocate the execution time, everything you have to be keen in that. And second one is document the design. And all of you know that document the design. Whatever you are doing, you have to be document it first. So if you are going to document that, that could be very much useful in future. So for example, somebody came new to the job, what happens? He is going to go through the document and he is going to work on that. So for example, 5 members are working on a project. From the 5 members, one person has been left from that job project. If one new person has been added to that project, so it is not, they don't have time to explain what is happening, what is going to happen. So what happens is, he is going to read whatever the document that has been given, he is going to read that and he is going to work on that, like that. So that is the reason why what he is saying, that each designer must communicate with interfacing designers, managers and possibly customers. And second one is, during early phase, the documentation is the design. The documentation itself is called as the design, because documentation is going to work for future. The real monetary value of documentation is to support later modifications by a separate test team. So that could be very much useful for later test teams. By looking at the document, they can be able to work on that very easily. So that is the case you have to remember. And next one is do it twice. If possible, you have to do it again and again in order to avoid any problems. Next one is plan, control and monitor testing. Plan, control and monitor testing. So you have to be planned perfectly. So then only you can be able to control and you can be able to monitor your project that we are going to implement. So that is the reason why employ a team of test specialists who are not responsible for the original design. So you have to employ based on that, and employ visual inspection to spot the obvious errors like dropped minus signs, missing factors of tools, jumps to wrong. So what do you mean by visual inspections? Visual inspections will be conducted just like walkthroughs. So that could be done by programming experts. Those they are not going to execute the entire program. Just by looking at the program orally, they can be able to identify the errors like that, dropped minus signs, missing factors. So for that, we don't need to execute the program. We are not supposed to execute in order to find those such type of errors. So for that will be identified by the visual inspections. And finally, employ the final checkout on the target computer. Whatever you have been developed, that could be employed in the target computer. And finally, last one is involve the customer. So customer involvement is much more important in order to get succeed with your project, because whatever you are going to develop for the sake of customer only, and that could be developed according to the needs of the customer. So in order to satisfy the customer, you have to involve the customer in each and every phase. During the requirements, you have to involve during the design phase, during the implementation phase, wherever the requirement of the customer is there, you have to involve them and you have to show everything through them. Then only you can be able to get succeed. If there is any flaw in that, automatically you can be able to rectify, otherwise it has to be done second time. So that is going to cost extra cost. So thank you.